I'm starting now. Okay, so here's my crowd. Okay. Okay. So tonight I'm talking to you about autism spectrum disorder. I'm going to start with a story about a girl named Holly. So Holly in middle school, she always knew that she was a little bit different than everybody else. She's a little strange, but she didn't know why. Just kind of felt like an outcast. And then a few years later, she was actually diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Holly is now 27, and she's also my sister. So the reason that this is important to me and should be important to you is because the amount of kids that have been diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder have increased by 119% from 2000 to 2010, according to Time Magazine. Right, 119%. That's a lot. So personally, this is significant because my sister has autism spectrum disorder, and because in my future career as an occupational therapist, I will be dealing with people and children who have ASD. So first of all, I'm going to be talking about like what is autism spectrum disorder, then I'll kind of go into how it's diagnosed, what are the risk factors, and lastly, I'll talk about the support that's available for families. So, what is ASD? It's basically a group of developmental disorders that ranges from like disability, skills, and such like that. So, some common like symptoms of ASD is difficulty interacting with peers and communicating, as well as repetitive behavior. So the two main types of behavior that are common are restrictive repetitive. So that might be like kind of obsessed with one topic. Like with my sister, she has birds and she literally talks about them every single day she has been for years. You know, they'll just get stuck on something and talk about it for a long time. Another type of behavior is social communication, and that can include like not making a lot of eye contact with people when they're talking, or like they can get really upset if a routine changes, you know, or plans change. They kind of freaks them out. Okay, so talked a little bit about what it is. Now I'm going to transition into how it's diagnosed and risk factors involved. So it's diagnosed basically by observing a child's development in just typical checkups that they go to, you know, as a young child. So if something is picked up at a checkup that's kind of strange or, you know, questionable, then the child will be observed by a team of specialists like a child pediatrician obviously, or like a health psychologist or an OT, and they'll do like more specific evaluations to determine if there's something more serious going on. So I'm going to show you a quick visual aid. So from this textbook, it's kind of funny. There's a little comic, and it says, "I wish I had started therapy at your age," and it's just a baby on a couch. Okay. So the cause of ASD is unknown, but scientists say that the environment and genetics play a significant role. So males are actually a lot more likely to develop ASD than girls are. Also, if you have older parents or you have a sibling who has ASD, have a higher chance of developing it as a child. So ASD has been increasing a lot, as I said earlier, in the past few years, and so people are kind of wondering why. But mainly it's really just because the criteria for the diagnosis is changing, so it's just kind of including more and more people. It's not that, you know, it's like it's not like ASD is like growing or like people are, you know, it's just because the criteria is changing and so more people are being diagnosed is all. Okay, so we talked about diagnosis, risk factors, and now I'm going to explain a little bit about the support that's available for families. So a key with ASD is early treatment and proper care that can greatly reduce the difficulties that a child will have to deal with in their life. So you want to talk to an expert, and they can help you with a intervention plan, so like an OT. Also, it's important as a parent to keep a detailed notebook. Write down observations you see. When you go to appointments, you know, write stuff down. Just kind of keep a record of everything. That'll help make decisions in the future with stuff. And then also there are outreach programs available for families who are dealing with autism spectrum disorder. There's a big organization called Autism Speaks, which is very popular. If you Google it, it's easy to find. And they offer platforms for employment for people who have autism and housing. So it's among a lot of other things, but those are just two examples. Also, they offer something called family toolkits, which can be specific for like grandparents, friends, or siblings, and it kind of helps them figure out how they can love and understand that person who has ASD. So it's really cool and really important. So in conclusion, many people are being diagnosed with ASD, but there are still a ton of people who don't know much about it, and that needs to change. So I hope that you've gathered or gained a better understanding of what it is and risk factors and diagnosis and support that's available. 1 out of every 68 children in the U.S. is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Holly, personally, she's very high functioning, so you wouldn't be able to tell if she had a disability if you didn't know anything about it. So since you can't even though you can't tell she has a disability, she still struggles with organization, time management, just remembering things, and so that has hindered her in a lot of ways. But in spite of that, she still managed to graduate with a bachelor's degree in speech communication from the Metropolitan State University of Denver. Yes, so basically the more awareness of ASD equals a higher quality of life and independence for those people. So thank you.